Okay, I promised a build video, and a build video I will create. So, ignoring the fit, this is genuinely one of the most OP PvE builds I've ever used on Titan. So first and foremost, Stasis. Obviously, like, OP for PvE. Glacier Grenades, running Tectonic Harvest, Howl of the Storm. Obviously, Tectonic Harvest for the Stasis crystals, and Howl of the Storm for more crystals. I'm opting not to use Cryoclasm because it gives me less fragment slots, and Howl of the Storm is just more useful if you're trying to spam your grenades. Um, but we can counteract Cryoclasm with Whisper of Rending, because with pretty much any weapon, any kinetic weapon will immediately destroy a crystal if you're using Whisper of Rending. Like, it's a 2-tap from a sidearm. It's immediate, so you don't have to run up and slide through it when you can 2-tap it from like 50 meters away. It's great. You also have Whisper of Hunger, increase the melee energy gain from this, because we're really trying to focus on the grenade spam. So melee really is just trying to help us get that grenade faster. So the faster we get our melee, the faster we get our grenade, because we are also running Whisper of Shards. Increase your grenade recharge when destroying a crystal. Making crystals from your melee, recharge your melee faster, get more grenades, hit grenades, gives you grenades. It's great. Whisper of Fissures is just a choice of mine, because obviously we're spamming grenades all the time. You'd want more explosive damage. You could also opt for Whisper of Bonds, but we're not really freezing things as often so much as exploding things. You could also do Whisper of Chains and more high-end content, like if you're doing a master or something, get that damage reduction, because you're always going to be around some kind of crystal all the time, so you can run Whisper of Chains for that. There's obviously, you can play around with it, increase melee from that instead of the shards, but because we're getting so many shards, I just opted for I opted not to use it. Moving on to the rest of the build. Weapons of choice. Traveler's Chosen. Obviously, you get more, you get kills with it, you're going to get your grenades back faster, your melee back faster, everything back faster. I don't yet have the Catalyst, but I'll explain later. The Catalyst will take this thing above and beyond. It becomes crazy. And then Fusion Rifle, obviously, for damage. It's my choice. Obviously, this whole season's choice of damage for like yellow bars and such. And I'll explain later. Traveler's Chosen will shred through orange bars. Maybe not quite yellow bars. It could potentially, but it's a little bit more set up than just using a fusion rifle. It's just easier. And then Creed's Regret. Just because Stasis, I'll explain that later. You can use Ascendancy. You're going to get more of a damage buff from Reed's Regret though. Moving on to the mods. Now this is what is really important, are the mods. First and foremost, most importantly, elemental shards. Every single shard you generate from just breaking a crystal counts as a stasis elemental well. Think about that. It's crazy. Every single shard you create from a glacier grenade or your melee will give you 5 stasis elemental wells. Particle deconstruction, obviously, for the fusion rifles. 5 stasis elemental wells. Now, unfortunately, at the time of this season, there really aren't any great stasis elemental well mods. You have this one, but it doesn't require you picking up any stasis wells. This one spawns stasis wells. This one is kind of useful. It'll give you additional energy for what's lowest at the time. I would be running that, but I don't have it, obviously. Elemental shards, and what's next? Elemental charge. With 1 glacier grenade, you can stack yourself up to 10 times. With just these 2 mods. Just these 2 mods. You get 10 stacks of charge with light from 1 glacier grenade. Obviously, Arbitrarium, double nades, supercharged for more stacks of charge with light. You can obviously opt to change that if you want. But what makes this super fun, surprise attack. You get like 100% damage bonus, something crazy like that, with your sidearm, just for being charged with light. Now the only iffy thing with surprise attack, in my opinion, is that you have to, it's really iffy with the reloading. It does not always overcharge the magazine just from reloading, so sometimes you will have to swap from your fusion back to Traveler's Chosen to get that, but it's still noticeable. You'll still realize, like, hey, this is doing a lot more damage than a normal sidearm. And the reason Osmosis will become really useful, plus Reed's Regret, Font of Might. Permanent, and I mean permanent, 10% damage increase. Because guess what? If we're spamming our nades literally constantly, and all those nades are giving us shards, or not shards, wells, elemental wells, we're going to always have up Font of Might. You don't even have to kill anything. You just sacrifice one of your 2 grenades and you have 5 elemental wells right there. It's constant, and it's always a 10% buff on your Traveler's Chosen, always a 10% buff on your Reed's Regret. I'm just gonna go over to good old firing line over here, Cistern, just so I can get just a demonstration, just so I can show you how crazy this thing is. It's not the best demonstration, sorry Shank, because the enemies are at least somewhat spread out, so you're not going to get quite as amazing efficacy. But I was running this build in Strikes the other day, and it's insane. The great part about this is you can mess around with it a little bit, and it'll still be great. Like I said, you can do Font of Might. You will get your super back a little bit faster, so it's not crazy. You are getting your shit back mostly from explosions and not from freezing things. I have not had to wait once for my ability to charge. Not once. It's insane what you can do with this build. Legitimately insane. Like, look at this. I'm melting through a nightmare with a sidearm. That would have been even faster with Font of Might. Just look at this. It's crazy. It's insane. Boom. Literally, you will always have your abilities. Always have your abilities. And I didn't even proc Traveler's Chosen once. I never did that. Look, all my abilities instantly back. Boom. Grenades. Boom. Melee. That's that. Stasis weapon boost. Get your melee back. Boom, 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 boom. Got another grenade. Boom, 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 boom. Look at this. It's fucking... Look, melee. Boom.